Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Today we're going to be covering Renown. Again, I know it's because it's a re-upload of a re-upload. Now I didn't realise that the audio quality in the last one was so bad. So I'm going to be doing it again, and hopefully it's going to be going much better this time. So yeah, I've had a few audio issues over the last few episodes, I believe. Hopefully should all be sorted now. So anyway, kicking it off, Renown, what it is basically it's your clan's points to determine how big you can get. So if we jump into the clan menu, it's also kind of your character stat as well. So if we jump up here, to level up your clan tier you need Renown. And you need, I think, 50 in order to unlock the first clan tier, which in this playthrough we've only just gone over. So we are just halfway in between clan and tier 1 and 2. And then we need 150 for the next one, which will allow us to have more parties, bigger parties, and more companions. As well as when we get to clan tier 4, we can even have our own kingdom. So it's quite an important feature in the game. It also, your character kind of has his own renown, which is it basically reflects how other lords and nobles see you throughout the world. If you have high renown, they'll respect you more, essentially meaning that you can more likely recruit them to your cause later on in the game, or you'll more likely get accepted for quests and other things as well with them. So it is quite an important feature, especially for that levelling up. Now, what's the easiest way to get Renown? Well, there isn't one particular easy way, but we're going to run through a few decent ways of doing it. Now, the first and probably most obvious one is tournaments. So if you run through a tournament, now generally, if you're new to the game, I recommend the Empire tournaments. So you've got the North, West and South Empire. Now, their tournaments are generally quite balanced. You kind of use every weapon type, and they're a lot easier. You have bigger teams than some of the others, and it just makes it a lot easier with that balanced weaponing. So you'll mostly use like bows, one-handed swords, maybe even javelins, but it is very varied. Whereas if you go somewhere like Britannia, you'll be using two-handed swords, two-handed axes, and other more specific weapon types, making it just that little bit more difficult if you're not used to the blocking mechanics and other things like that. Every empire or every faction is different, except for obviously the 3 empires. All their tournaments are the same. I just generally think they're the easiest, so probably the ones that you want to do. And tournaments are relatively easy to find. Jump around to most cities and you're very likely to find one. I think you might still be able to ask the tournament master if you go into the arena. I think you can talk to him and he'll tell you where the nearest tournaments are and where they're being held, which we'll run through after this. So tournaments, you have your 4 rounds. They're always different. So in this case, it's a team of 4 versus a team of 4, and then that's the other team, which we have nothing to do with. So we'll basically be playing whichever team wins in that one next. But it's always different. Sometimes you'll have 4, sometimes you'll have 8 different rounds where it's 1 versus 1, 8 times down, or however many times down. I can't remember. But yeah, it will always be different. So in this case, it's only 2 teams. Sometimes you'll have 4 teams. You know, it always changes. Sometimes it will be everyone in the same match. But we're just going to go ahead. We can make a bet, which is why doing tournaments at the early stages of the game is very useful, because not only do you get a really good bit of gear, you can make bets. If you're quite confident and know you'll win, you can make at least 1,000 dinars, maybe 1,600 per tournament. So very good for making that early game money, and obviously you get your decent chunk of renown at the end as well. So let's just go ahead and jump into this, and let's get through it as quick as we can. Ignore me missing the first man there, and the second. 7 damage. Terrible. Not performing my best right now. Like I said, you have that varied weapon type, so we're using spear on horseback. There's one guy down there using a bow, one guy using a javelin. So it is very different across the board, and obviously you can go and pick up those weapons as well. I think there was even one guy using a sword actually. Well, that might have been the guy using the javelin. I think he had a sword and a javelin, but yeah, we can go and pick up that stuff as well. So if you're not confident with a spear, you can always go and grab a bow or grab a sword off somebody. But yeah, the Empire ones are generally quite well balanced. This is a very long first round. Don't usually take that long, but there we go. So we've qualified for the next stage. So we just go ahead. We can watch this round, doesn't really matter. So we just go ahead and skip that, and then we'll play in the next one. Again, we can double up our bet, so we can add more money into the bet if we're quite confident again. And you can make even more money from it. Try and get these guys on the floor first if we can. I don't think we're going to be much help. There we go. One left. Hopefully we can get him now. Oh, not quite enough. Nearly. Got to be hanging on for dear life. There we go. Lovely stuff. So next stage, 2 left. So now it's 2v2. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. Now we've got sword and shield, and there's no horses, no bowmen. So my teammate does that, I could be in trouble. Generally find if you use the shield bashes in tournaments, it does make it a hell of a lot easier. And then it's just 1v1. So it could be anyone, it could be a lord at the end. Some towns you'll go to, it'll have mostly lords in the tournaments. Those ones are generally quite difficult. Because obviously the lords have very high skills in most areas. So it's a lot more difficult to win. But there we go. So we've won our tournament. We've got our Legionary Reinforced Studded Harness, which is better than anything we've got right now. So that's brilliant. We could sell that off and make a decent chunk of money as well. Probably be worth a few thousand. And we've got our 3 Renown, which we can boost towards our next clan tier. And we've also gained a fair few skill points in different weapon areas, which can contribute to our levelling up and to whichever, you know, weapons we've decided to go with for our main campaign. So that's the first major way you can boost your Renown. Now a second, probably a little bit more easy way of doing it is to hunt down groups of bandits and looters and all sorts of different things. But there is a trick to it. Apparently we had a caravan mission. I didn't realise that. My bad. Oh, I think I know why we did that. Yes, so if we go after this little looter bandit here, looter party, we'll catch them hopefully. So yeah, the way it works, the trick is, if the looters have more men than you, you'll get more Renown. But if the looters have less men than you, you'll get less Renown. So I think for this battle, we probably won't get that much. But let's just have a look and see. So they're kind of half our number, but we massively out-strength them. So the Renown will be very low. But if they outnumber us, so say if we went for a party that had more strength and more numbers, we'd get an insane amount of Renown for it. So we'll just go ahead and we'll quickly wipe these guys out as quick as we can. Just send everyone into a charge because we're not too worried about them being a threat. They're only looters. Obviously, if you go after sea raiders and forest bandits, little stronger enemies like that, yeah, it's a lot easier. You have a much better chance of taking them down. Sorry, not taking them down. You'll have a much better chance of getting more Renown for it, which will be better. Now, another thing you can do, which I think is what I was doing before I started this, is the quests. So, as you have just seen, when we left Ortizia, it told us we failed a quest because a caravan had gone away. Now, I was going to use that, and I completely forgot about it. So, the caravans, if you pick escort caravan quests or caravan ambush quests, you'll generally be introduced to an enemy party that has a very high number, if not a number that matches your own, and also kind of matches your skill level. So if you take that party down, most of the time you'll get between 15 and 20 Renown. So it is a really, really good and quick way of boosting up your Renown. So I don't think we're going to catch any more of them here, so we're just going to go ahead and end that battle. 6 of them have managed to escape. We got 1.4 Renowns. About half of what we got in the tournament, but also about half the time it took to get that. However, we just got lucky and managed to catch them. If you have a bigger party, or if you know, one of the good ways of doing it is you might want to sacrifice a few men and drop them off to make your party smaller. So 1, you can catch the looters, and 2, when you do, you'll have more Renown from the battle because you'll technically have less men. So the looters will technically be stronger. Even though you're completely confident that you'll wipe them out, the less men you have, the more Renown you'll get. So it's just one of those little things to go ahead and consider when you're trying to boost your... However, if you're trying to get Renown and you're sort of more mid to late game, one of the things you might want to consider is taking on one of the minor clans of the game. So if we just run into the clan menu here, when we go type minor, Now we've got all of these clans here. Now these are all mercenary clans, all of them. You can find them scattered all over the world. Sometimes they'll be aligned with a faction, but because they're mercenaries, they only do this temporarily. But some of them, for example, I think like the Hidden Hand, these guys, their main unit. So each of these mercenary clans have a main unit type that they will use, and they're special units. So you can't get them anywhere. The only way that you can get them is if you capture them as prisoners and then recruit them into your party. So no one else can get them other than these mercenary clans. Now, some of them are really strong, some of them are really good, and some of them are dead awful. Now, for example, the Hidden Hand, they have a two-hander guy who has very little armor and no shielding protection. So if you've got a decent amount of archers, you can wipe one of these parties out pretty quickly because they have no defense. Now, they don't only use two-handers, they do use other types of units as well, mostly Imperial because they are an Imperial cultured faction. But you'll generally find you'll take them down pretty easily, pretty quickly. So you don't actually need to have as many men as they do. So they might be running around in parties of 90 or 100 plus. I mean, these guys at the bottom will obviously have less, and the leader will obviously have more. So he'll probably be in the hundreds, whereas these guys might be between 70 and 90 men. But if you have missile superiority, so I'd say if you've got a party around 50 to 60 men and you're quite confident, you could definitely go after one of these clans, because when you hunt them down and you find them, which is simple as clicking on their name and seeing where they're near, you generally won't find them together. So he's last seen near Themis, I doubt. So he's near Poros, and he's near Epicatrea. So they're actually nowhere near each other. So you never have to worry about being caught off guard or being double teamed by these guys, because they'll never be together. They'll always be on their own, and if you declare war on this clan, you won't be declaring war on any factions. So you won't be at risk of getting attacked by any other lords or armies, and you'll still be allowed to go into any settlements. You can just attack these guys as and when you find them. You'll get an insane amount of loot, you'll get good quality loot, good amounts of money, and ridiculous amounts of renown for taking them down, because they'll have high numbers of men, and they'll also be good quality. But if you pick the right clans, for example the Hidden Hand, I think they're incredibly easy to take down. You just need that missile superiority, maybe even good amount of cavalry, and they're quite easy to defeat, which is a really good way of getting early renown. Now there are others, but like I said, there are also some that are quite strong. Now we could go through them all, but that might be for another episode. Now I think, for example, the Company of the Golden Boar, they have crossbowmen. I think that is their main unit type. So that's a little bit more difficult, and because that's their special unit, they're going to have a lot of them. Now it also tells you what clan tier they are, how much wealth they have, and what their strength is. Now their strength will be relative to their number of men that they have. Clan tier will obviously give you an idea of how many men they can have to a party, and their wealth, it doesn't really affect a whole lot, but it kind of gives you an idea of what quality of unit they'll have. So you generally want to look for a clan that's got a lot less. So these guys, strength is 218, clan tier is 3. So we know, like I've already said, these guys are weak. They are not strong at all. But some of them are going to be a lot higher up. So 511, generally stay away from. 597, we want to stay away from. 551, so any in the 500 regions you kind of want to stick away from. But anything less than that, that's the one you should be going for in that kind of early mid game, where you want to boost your renown quite a lot. Now these guys are brilliant for going after. So that covers that. Now, like I said earlier, the last sort of thing we can look at is doing missions. So running caravan missions, or the I can never remember the name of it. So there are certain missions. So this one wouldn't really help us. We would get a little bit of renown, but not a whole lot. So there are missions in certain places that we can pick up that will allow us to attack a party of significant strength. So there's one where you have to go and hunt down foragers or deserters at a nearby village. That's a really good one because they normally have men that match your number, and it's kind of usually like forest bandits, so they're not very well armoured. Having a lot of bows does make it a little bit difficult, but as long as you kind of use as much cover as you can, they're quite easy to take down, and it generally gives a lot of renown because there's a lot of them to take down. But doing the local quests at the cities, as long as you pick the right ones, we'll try and find one here if we can. Hopefully there's one at Rote. We'll try and find one, but generally the caravan ones I find. So you got caravan ambush, and then I can't remember the caravan ambush, and then there's caravan something else. Caravan escort. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, escort merchant caravan. So hopefully, if we take this, this might work out for us. So we'll say we'll escort his caravan. We're not going to do the whole thing. We'll just follow it for now. I'm following the wrong one. That didn't help, did it? I almost went very wrong there. So yeah, we'll just follow him quickly, and then hopefully what will happen is, it doesn't always happen, sometimes it happens a little bit later on. It's not guaranteed. It's just occasionally. What will happen is, let's just pop in here and see if there's another one. Escort merchant caravan, so we can't do that. Gang these recruits, so yeah. A little bit rarer to find, but occasionally you will find good quests like Caravan Ambush. Okay, it's probably the best one, that one, that will allow you to go ahead and take down a specific party type that will have a lot of men, good quality men, and will give you ridiculous amounts of renown for it. Now, it's not looking like we're going to find anyone attacking this caravan. Oh, there we go. I spoke too soon. So 38 of them, as you can see, and we've only got 37 men. So a significant party of significant strength. One thing you do need to consider though is if you're picking this mission, generally the raiders are all mounted. So you need to have the right troop types. If you're doing one of these missions with recruits, you are not going to make it. And you can also, if you move in quick enough, you can help the caravan, so you'll get that 18 extra men. But you can also go ahead, jump in front of them and attack the raider party if you want more renown, but you're going to lose those 18 men. So we'll jump ahead. We're not going to get as much renown because we have joined this party, but we'll still get a significant amount because the it's basically saying that we're kind of evenly matched with these guys. Probably want to put our archers forward, and then we want to send in everyone else, I reckon. As their cavalry, we just kind of want to hunt them down as much as possible, but it's not going to be easy for us. We'll let our archers start picking them off as much as we can. There we go, that's what we like to see. Not quick enough on that. See, they're going down fairly quickly. My men are going to be doing most of this. I'm a bit too slow to be getting involved in this fight. I need a horse is what I need. Bastard. Come on, come here. There we go. Now I can hopefully get involved, start hunting some of them down. So again, the more of them that you kill, the more renown you're going to get from the fight as well. So if you can, try and let as least of them escape as you possibly can, but it's never easy, especially when they're mounted. It is not easy to catch them all, especially when you're on a horse as slow as mine. Don't think I'm going to catch any of them. Jesus, what am I on? Don't think I'm going to catch them. That's one of mine. So yeah, we'll have a look here and see. It should be a decent chunk. 3.8. So, I mean, it's not bad. But if we hadn't joined the caravan, and had we killed more of them, so 20 of them escaped, we only killed 17 there. So we could have got a lot more renown if we'd moved quicker and if we hadn't joined the caravan party. But 3.8 is still more than the tournament, and it's still more than taking down the looters, so it is something to consider. Plus we'll get better loot. I can always hunt down the rest of them and still get a decent chunk of renown from that as well. So it's not over yet. But yeah, those are the most basic ways you can get renown. Probably the best ways you can do it. If you have the confidence, I'd say the best possible way you can go for renown is by taking down a faction's caravans, or by going after those mercenary clans. I'd say mercenary clans is easily the best, but it's a little bit more risky. It's a little bit more complicated. And then obviously there is one final way, which is to basically just join in a faction and then join an army. Either do that or offer yourself as a mercenary and just go off and go into battles with a faction, because you won't be losing your own men, you'll be getting paid for it. And yeah, you can just get involved in huge sieges and huge battles and get lots of renown that way. But it is obviously risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky. But it is obviously risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky because you won't have any control. If you go and join an army, you go where they go. And if you go and join an army, you go where they go. So it's a little bit more risky because you won't have any control. If you go and jo So if they lose, you will also lose. But it is also, you know, if you're up for that kind of thing, I think you have to be clan tier 2 to do it though. If we have a look here, it should say eligible for being a vassal, yeah. So I think you can join in as a mercenary possibly, but not until clan tier 2 can you be a vassal, which will then allow you to go off into battles with other factions. So up until about clan tier 2, these are the sort of things you want to be looking at doing. So yeah, tournaments I'd say is probably the first ones you want to do to get that clan tier 1, and then you want to start looking at doing the quests, and then you want to start looking at doing the taking down the mercenary clans. But for that up to clan tier 1, you definitely want to be doing as many tournaments as you can, and just taking down big parties of bandits and looters, I'd say. But otherwise, guys, I hope this has helped. This is a re-upload of a re-upload, like I said, annoyingly, because the audio quality was so bad. So I apologise for that. But yeah, I hope not too many of you have watched this 100 times. But thank you guys. Thanks you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. It does help the channel out, and it keeps you updated with everything that's coming out. If you've got any comments, suggestions, tips, anything like that, please make sure to leave them down below, or go ahead and join the Discord and leave them in there as well. But otherwise, guys, I will see you in the next episode. I hope you have a good one. Goodbye.